All right, don't tell me I have my here check, mic check. Very good evening to all of you. Please, can somebody confirm if I'm audible enough? Oh, yeah. Hello, good evening to all of you. All right, yeah, I'm really sorry. Some of my students will not be joining today because they are preparing for their internals. So as a matter of fact, guys, don't feel disheartened or don't feel left out because the whole stuff is going to still be available on the channel, right? And I think what I will do is at the end of the class, I will just, send it back. Yeah, send the link back. And I will not keep you guys for so long, okay? I won't keep you guys for so long. Thank you so much, Amanat. Nice to see you. So we just start right away and let the rest join us, all right? So the intention is just to kind of stay focused on what we have to do, all right? And thank you guys. I really appreciate your time. And let's start right away. Okay, so I plan doing something. I want to kind of show you guys what we did in the last class in case if you are just joining us. All right, so anyway, I promise that I'm going to make a little video on this. I couldn't do that because of, obvious reasons. I was super busy. But moving forward, I decided to do a couple of things, okay? I decided to, share it as a notebook, right? So from this class, unless I ask you, okay, to switch, unless I switch, you are only supposed to just pay close attention. And as soon as the class is done, I'm going to share the notebook right away, okay? Yeah, thank you. Louder. All right. Okay, so yes, I think I'm loud and clear, but yeah, I will still be a little louder for Anania's sake. Okay. All right, so very good evening to all of you, and let's start, okay? So if you see what is written on the screen, thanks to one of you who graciously, generously summarized it. So what we did in the previous class, that was last week. We looked into Python as a programming language, and these are a couple of things we did, with emphasis on, or which one to use. Should we use Tony or PyCharm or VS Code or things like that? All right. And we created kind of a simple project, and then that ran our simple Hello World program in that. Did some stuff and things like that. But you see, there is an issue here. Okay. So, and I'm going to show you one thing now. So yeah, all right. Yeah, Diksha, welcome back. Okay. So if you look here, guys, there is a little problem here. So what is the problem? Let's go back to the 50 days of our Python challenge. You see, I had a couple of notebooks here, all right, and a couple of things here, but I cannot literally pinpoint what actually happened when, you see. So I don't want to keep having things like this when we can actually do this better. So what I decided to do now is to run everything on Google Colab. And you don't need to worry. So this will save you the tension, the stress of installing anything and not being able to, productively replicate whatever I'm going to share with you guys. So because of that, I decided not to, waste time on any of this stuff, but just to start with this. Okay. So I hope my screen is visible. And this is what we're going to do. So I believe many of you knows how to get codes from GitHub. Okay, in case you don't know how to do that, it's okay. You don't need to worry, okay? Now, I thought of closing this guy. Okay, let me just cascade it like this. Okay. So I will open it back again. So what I thought of doing, guys, is just to make this code available as soon as the class is over. So as soon as we are done, I will just go here only and click on File and just say Download As. And I'm going to download this as py, okay, .py. So why am I actually doing this? As you see, many of you, maybe about 30% of you are already comfortable with Python. So I wouldn't want to keep you waiting, okay? So let's dive straight into what we have to do. So we plan working on NumPy and Pandas. But before that, I'm going to just take a couple of minutes, maybe 30 minutes to do a kind of a brush up and an assignment to be given. It's not a must, okay? It's not compulsorily you must do it this time. It's kind of going to serve as a reinforcement class for you, okay? So this is what we've planned, all right? That you're going to learn how to use NumPy, Seaborn, and stuff. And by the way, how did I get this? Okay, I'm making lots of assumptions. So can I know, if you don't know where I got this from and how I actually got this, can you just type I? All right, I believe some of you might be joining, But do you know where I got this from? Okay, so I'm just going to tell you one thing here. All you need is just a Gmail account. So I have this email ID which I created for this. I called it phd-personal2022. Okay, so in this, once you are signed in or you sign up for a Gmail, I believe everybody has a Gmail obviously. So you are signed into your Gmail. All you need to do is just type collab, C-O-L-A-B. Okay, collab.research.google.com, anything. All right, now here all you're going to do is just click on new notebook. Fine. Now I have done little formatting, but I'm going to show you just this. Okay, so you click on new notebook, and this means that you must be online. Remember, in the previous class we looked at offline IDEs versus online IDEs, right? So the emphasis was more on offline IDEs, right? So you have seen your Tony, you've seen your VS Code, you've seen your Ideally, Sublime Text, PyCharm, I have said VS Code, all of them. So all those IDEs that require you to download stuff and run it offline, obviously, is your offline IDE. So now I'm talking about your online IDE. That means you need internet to access this, okay? And couple of things here, like if you want to follow along, all right, so you just need to maybe like give it a name. So you can call it day 2 of something. So I'm just going to rename it. I just call it day 2 sandbox. Okay, so we're going to look into naming rules or something like that in very soon. Okay, so day 2 sandbox, something like that. That's what I want to do, and it's going to come as .ipymb. Okay, fine. Can I change it to py? Now I want you not to. I just want you to don't touch this. Okay, because yes, you can change it to py, but the essence here is IPYMB stands for Interactive Notebook, okay, Python notebook, which is similar to your Jupyter notebook, but this time it's going to run on the Google server, okay? So once you've done that, now you might need to look at this, okay, if you are feeling like, okay, explorative in nature, you might look at runtime. So we talk about runtime as we get into deep learning classes, okay? So for now, all you need to do is just take this as an IDE and you replicate the code. Fine, that's it. So what are the requirements? You have to have access to your Gmail. That's it. And just type collab and there you go. So this runtime, we'll be talking about it. As you see, accelerator is none. I have a GPU and a TPU provided free of cost by Google. Obviously, it has some limitations. So for now, I'm going to leave the accelerator as none. And in case if you just joined us, why am I actually, did I deviate from what we planned? No. The reason is I want the notebook to be available as soon as the class is over, okay? And I don't want to start thinking where I actually kept the stuff because I have encountered that over and over again, all right? So keeping this in mind, you can just do 2 plus 3 and that's it. And it will still run, okay? That's all. So you can wrap it around the print statement. Also ensure everything is dependent on how fast your internet is. So you see here, fine, and then I get an output of 5. So let me close this and get back to where we are. So this is what we are going to do. So you should know how to at least use NumPy for scientific computing and understand some couple of things. So all this, I'm not going to waste time reading because it will be there for you to go through. So before we get started, okay, there are some kind of, handy stuff we need to know about, okay? Because if I just dive right into, say, loading see here, like I think I did something here, like loading a data frame and then some, if I start getting errors like this, and we're going to make these kind of mistakes and we fix it together. So before that, you should know what we mean by a dictionary, what we mean by a list, what we mean by an array, and things like that. So now this is not going to be an extensive tutorial. No ways, guys. My intention is just to rush through this in 30 minutes, all right? So it's not going to be an extensive tutorial, obviously, and I'm going to link, I think I linked it already, but I'll link some useful tutorials also that will give you that head on, all right? Say you want to know more about NumPy, more about pandas and all whatnot, okay? Fine. So what are we going to do? Now, I want you to remember a couple of things here, and it's better we do it practically. Now, we're going to look at first thing. Remember in the previous class, I said Python, actually, you don't need to, it's not strongly typed, right? So you don't need to declare what type of data you are going to use before you start using it, okay? So unlike Java and other other languages, you have to tell. But however, if you run it, Python will be able to know that this is kind of an integer type, all right? So now we're going to do something here, okay? So first thing, what you are looking at on the screen is what? A data type. So this data type, we're going to look at the first one. So you have your numbers, okay? So that means apart from numbers, you're going to have other stuff, okay, like your list, your dictionary, your tuple, and all whatnot, okay? So before that, if you look at this, all right, so we're going to understand, like how we actually use them, and we get into the concept of variables. I mean, everything will be in brief, okay? So everything will be in brief. I'm not going to do anything in detail, all right? So if you are good to go, let's start, all right? Okay. So now let's start. So the first one you're actually seeing here is of type integer. You just type anything there. 2 plus 4 is going to give me 6. Now I can actually perform a multiplication operation on that. I perform division operation. However, there is something now that interests me, and that's why I actually brought this up. Okay, so I brought this up because of something, right? So what is it actually that interests me? So if you look at this, I just did 2 upon 3. Okay, please, in case if it drops, somebody should message me on WhatsApp, please. Okay, so I just did 2 upon 3 and I got 0.667. Okay. Now when I did 2//3, I'm going to get 0. Okay, so if it drops, please, somebody should just message me on WhatsApp. Okay, cool. All right. My second screen is not that working today. All right, so what happens here is I'm going to add a comment by the side, as you know. So our comments single line comment is usually in hash, okay, using hash notation. So what you know here, this you call it, like, you can call it can I call this real division? Okay, so division, VISION. So what happens here is it's actually divided. That is my basic division, and it returns the stuff in floating point. So you can say it's a floating point division. However, when I do the same thing here, what did I get? So this now gave me what? An integer division. So I can say this is called integer division. All right. So why? It just truncates this. Okay. So I'm going to run this again. Okay. And you see I'm getting 0. So let me just change something here and you guess the output. Okay. So if I say 4 upon 3, right? I mean, double slash upon 3, what do you think I will get? Should I get 1.33? Okay, let's do the first case. So when I perform a real division or a floating point division, I'm going to get 1.333, right? Now, when I perform an integer division, okay, what do you think I will get? Okay, will it approximate? Okay, so I'm going to get 1. Fine. Now, another thing you might need to understand is what we call like your modulus operator. So this basically returns the remainder after division. Okay, so what happens here is if I say 5 mod 2, it's going to say how many 2s are in 5? 2 2s are, and it's going to return the remainder. So the remainder is 1. However, if I do 2 mod 5, what do you think it will return? Right? So if I do 2 mod 5, you can actually see the answer there, right? It's actually returning 2. Why? 2 mod 5, if you do 2 divided by 5, it's going to give you 0.4, right? But if you do 2 mod 5, it's going to say, okay, 5 is going to divide 2, right? It will not go, right? So I'm going to return it to be 0, remaining 2. Fine? So that is what happens here. Now you can do some operations, perform some operations, right? So in this case now, it's not full. I mean, do you think it's following BODMAS? Like, okay, brackets of stuff. Okay, pay attention to this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy the same thing here. I'm going to add some code here, little down below. I paste it. Now I'm going to remove the order. So what happens in the previous cases, I try to let it follow this order, right? So it has to perform parenthesis operation like before it goes into doing this. Now, let me just space them equally. Okay, let me remove the spacing. Fine, you might think, okay, the spacing has an effect on this. So when I run this, what do you think it's going to do? I mean, will it be the same or different value? So it's giving me 61.5. Can you imagine? So this gave me, sorry, I'm going to turn off this guy. Okay, because, yeah. So what did you think happened now? It gave me 61.5. And you could literally, you now begin to wonder what happened here, right? So here it tries to follow PEDMAS or BODMAS. Okay, so let's try to evaluate this. So it says, since there are no braces, I will need to, do one thing, bracket of division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction, or something like that. All right, so let me do division, then I will do multiplication, then I will add, and then I will subtract. Okay, but can you just try to figure out which order it followed? But if I don't want this, say I want it to first of all perform this operation, I want it to add first, then again subtract, then divide, and then multiply. Fine. So I have to use parentheses. All right, no problem. Now, a couple of things you need to understand. So I have this Boolean type. Okay, now if you say true plus true is going to give me 2, it's not going to give me like true in the sense, you know, if I'm going to work on gates, say, okay, I hope I'm not confusing any of you. So I want true, anything that is true. A is 2 and B is 2. So if I say 2 plus 2 is going to give me 4. Now in this case, if I say true plus true, it's going to look at true as a what? An integer value, which is 1. Now, so I'm performing operations on Boolean, but it's returning it as what? Int. So how do I return true? Like, you know, I need to return true and I need to return false, right? So you might look at what conditions. Now, I will repeat again. See, I perform this operation, right? True plus true is to say, okay, true is actually, has this integer value 1, another true 1. So I'm going to perform 1 plus 1. So this is the same thing as my 1 plus 1, and it returns 2. Now, we have not used concept of variables here. Now, however, if I say true plus false, it's going to return 1 because false is like 0. So it's similar to saying 1 plus 2. No problem. However, if I want to return, let's say true, I rather need to, like, you know, do maybe a condition, right? I want to check if this condition evaluates to true, or maybe I'll do something or I do another thing. Okay. So I say is 10. So this will say is 10 greater than 9. The answer is what? Yes. So I'm going to print true, right? So now let me look at this. This is called what? Can we call it, what do we call it now? Now, please remember, 10 equal 8 is like an assignment operator, but 10 is exactly equal to 8 is like comparative operator. It's like it's telling me it's 10 exactly. So you can read this as exactly equal. So is 10 exactly equal to 8? Equal to 8. Obviously, 10 is greater than 8, so it returns false. Fine. Now, another thing I can do also, if 10 is less than 9, obviously 10 is greater than 9, so it's going to return false. All right. So I don't want to jump into pandas right away, okay, because there are a couple of things I want us to address, okay. So far, am I fast? I think. And please, students, I know you have exams tomorrow. Please, you are free to leave, okay. I'm actually doing this for the few of you that are from other colleges, all right. So especially those from MITM, Maharaja Institute of Technology, Mysore, I really understand that you are busy. So please, you can exit, okay? No hard feelings, okay? So you just exit and focus on your internals. All right. So let's continue. Okay. And then, yeah, 6th sem students. 4th sem, I don't think you have such constraint. Okay. All right. So far we've looked at that, but usually we might want this value to persist. So I'm going to add a couple of things here. So till here is fine. So I want to add some text things here now. So I will say, okay, now let's do, some concepts of what variables, okay? So you see, most of the time, what happens is, so I will say variables. So what happens is, like, whatever you've done now, you really want that to, you need to have that and then reuse it later, okay? So think of a variable as a container in which you store a value. Okay, I think I have my pen. I should digitize a little bit. I believe you can see my screen. So let's look at some stuff, and we look at naming rules in variables. Okay, yes, Mohammed Adnan, all the best, guys. So if you look at it here, so you might think of this. Okay, we are looking at variables. Okay, so you have something. Say I want to say like hello world. I want to just use the concept of variables to print them. So I say A will hold this string value of hello, and then B will hold the string value of world, such that when I say A plus B, it's not going to perform addition operation. Rather, it's going to perform concatenation operation, and it's going to say hello world. Fine, take it. Now what happens is, so think of this, visualize this as a container. So in this container, right, so obviously some memory location will be there in which we refer. We are not talking about C language and all. Now, when I say A, I created this variable. I say A equal. Now it's going to create an empty container. Okay, it says, okay, what do you want to put inside this empty container? I just said, okay, I want it to hold this value, hello. All right. So this is like, how you can kind of visualize this. And then if that is the case, right, now we're going to look into a couple of things here. All right. So we use variables and we do some stuff on it. And I will tell you why this is actually essential. So what I will do is we look at like naming rules. Okay. Naming rules. So it's kind of, it's not a law, it's a rule, something that maybe you should try to follow. And maybe I'll try to make it bold. Okay. So I want to say, okay, these are kind of things we might use Okay, these are kind of ways you might use to name this, and how do you create it, and how do you assign values to it, and all whatnot. So let's just head straight into this. And what I will do, I'll add some code cells below. So the first thing is, you see, there is literally no command, you know, like in Java, you have to say int a, and then maybe you assign some value to it, 5. Okay, so in Python, all you need to do is just say, you can say a equal 5, and you have actually created that, right? Now, a is equal 5. I think I should zoom this little bit. Okay, I think this is fine, guys. Okay, okay, I'll zoom it out. I believe you're able to see that. Okay, so now, so maybe if I want to say like 5 years, I can actually create another variable, say called WRS. Then this will hold this value, and it's going to be a string type now. I'm going to say is years. Fine. Now, the problem here is, can I actually concatenate both of them? Can I say a, please listen, plus YRS, and can I actually print this? Okay. Do you think it should work, or do you think it's going to give an error? Any guess? Or any guesses? Okay. And how do you run this actually? Sorry, just hold Shift Enter, or you click this little thing. Okay. So you see, it's telling you, I'm jumping into something else. Okay. So, and I believe you are able to follow. So it's telling you that, see guys, that you are having an unsupported operand. So you have an int and you have a string. So this shouldn't work. Okay. So we are going to look into next thing, how you can actually make them work. You can literally go back and change this to a string, or you typecast it. Fine. Now, what I will do in this case is, I really want to print 5 years. Okay. So the first possibility is, I'm going to go back to this 5, okay, and then turn this into a string. So this string can be single quotes, and the other one can be double quote actually. Okay. Now, if this holds true, now I'm going to print this, and you see it printed 5 years, right? Now, okay, there is no space in between. Obviously, you can give some little space here, or you just print and what do you call it? See, though I put that space, it didn't work, right? So you can actually print, you know, what's it called? Just empty string like this. Fine. And then obviously you have to concatenate that. Okay, like you say plus, fine, that's empty string, that's what I needed, and then I will say plus years. Okay, now when I run this, I'm going to get like 5 years. Fine, done. Now this is one approach. Another approach is just to typecast this stuff. Okay, now I'm going to typecast this int to what? A string. So I'm going to copy the same thing here, because this notebook, I need to make it available at the end of the class. Just go down to the next code. I'm going to paste the same thing. Now, this was of type int, okay? And that was of type string. And when we printed this, we got an error. It says unsupported operand for int and string. So what we do is, I'm going to do something here. I'll add int in front of it. If it's that, I'll add string in front of it if that's what I actually wanted, okay? So str, I will say 5, okay? Now, if I run this, fine, I'm going to get 5 years, right? So I have forced this 5, okay, to be of type string, okay? Now, we're going to look at something else, fine, because I will get to that typecasting, and I will tell you when to do what, okay? Because in most cases, if we typecast, we are likely to lose what? The precision, okay? Now, I don't want to do that for now, and let's move straight to the stuff, and I'll be done with this very soon, okay? So that means there'll be a couple of things, you know, which you need to know whenever you're working on this. So usually the beauty part, why we are actually using this is, you get the type immediately if there's an error. However, if I want to print this type, right, okay, I'll delete this. If I want to print the type of the variable here, there's also a method that, sorry, I keep adding this. There's also a method that allows us to do that. That is the type method, okay? So now I'll be using method and function interchangeably. All right, so what I want to do now is, let's say I created this. I had that 5 years, fine. I can actually do this now. I will just say print, okay? Now I use this type of, okay? No, not type of, please. Type of, we tell you what type of, variable that is. So I will just say only type. Now type. Now this type of what is this variable? So the first one is a, right? Now when I do this, what I'm going to get? Sorry, I will just shift enter. What did I get? It's an int. Fine. Sorry, it's a string actually, because please, I'm referring to this one, right? So it has overridden this. Remember, initially we had this, right? Okay, and then we actually converted it using this. So it's going to tell me it's a string. Fine. However, if I reinitialize this, now I'm going to take this out, okay? Okay, I'll create another variable better. Fine. So I will just create another variable. I'll call that b. I'll say that is maybe 10. And then I'm going to say type of what? This variable, say b, is going to tell me it's an int. Fine. Now, if I make it like 10.234, whatever, some number, it's going to tell me it's a float. Cool. Now, when is it going to return a double? Like, do we literally have double? So I added some stuff, and it still says it's a float. So this is because, Python treats both float and double as floats. Fine. Now, so this is done actually. And what you should remember is, we have used variations, single quotes and double quotes for string representation. But you should remember that variables are actually case sensitive, right? So if I have that as A, and again I have another one as A, okay, I will say A is Wakanda, okay? Now, if I'm going to print, say I print A years, okay, now what do you think will happen? It's still going to print 5 years, it's going to print Wakanda years. That's because this, we never override that, right? So, however, if I want to print Wakanda years, I have to say that, and then it's going to print Wakanda years. Got it? So, variables are actually case sensitive. Fine? All right. So, cool. Let's move ahead to the next thing, okay? Now, and if you remember, you have known how we name variables, but you don't know exactly, what we mean by valid variable names. Now, this is assuming that you are an absolute beginner, all right? Now, I'm going to write a couple of things here, okay, and we will just wind up with that, okay, and move to the next thing. So, whenever you name variables, I think I will use text because my writing is pretty good, okay, sorry about that. So, let's look at variables here. So, I'm going to just say, let's say I'll say my name equal, okay, I'll just say Victor, okay. So, this actually is valid. So, maybe if I want a string, I can say something like this. So this is valid, all right? Let me increase this font a little bit, the font size I mean to say. Fine, okay? So my name is Victor. Then I can actually do something else, okay? So maybe I use this. I can actually say my, underscore name. This is also valid, and I'll assign it as, in this case, just to make it simple, keep it simple, V, okay? Now, next thing I can do, I can actually say underscore in front. I'll say my, again, underscore name, it can be anything, V. So don't forget now, this equal sign is an assignment operator. Double equal sign is kind of a comparative operator. Okay, can I actually say this, my, NAME equal V? This is also fine, okay? Now, and I can actually say in capital also, my, starting like this, my blah, 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 equal that, V, okay? So this also works. Now, if you look at this, there are invalid variable names. That means, see, now let's look at the invalid ones. So the invalid one says, can I actually start this with a number? Say if I say 7 name, this is invalid, cannot be V, right? Okay, cool, okay, VI, anything. Now, can it actually contain dash, like 7 dash name, right? So whatever, NAME is equal to V, anything, fine. So can it act, this will never contain space also, like 7, that's blah, 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 okay? So this is not valid. That means, if you ask me, we can kind of follow 3 naming rules. So the first one, to make sure everything is in right order, the first one you need to follow is what we call what? The camel case, camel, right? Camel case. So now, camel case says, all right, so if I want to say example, my name, I can actually start with the first letter should be small letter. I mean, first word should be small letter, then following name, name me, like that. So any other word that starts should be in capital, uppercase. So you can say equal V, anything is fine. So this is accepted. That is camel case. The second possibility is to use what we call Pascal Casing. If you remember in the Java class, the Android class, I spoke about these 3, Pascal, camel, and then snake case. So in Pascal Casing, it says, beginning of every word should be capital. So I'm going to say my, like that, name, something like that, me, like that, equal, same, okay? Now, which one is snake? Literally like snake only. It's going to look like snake only. So how is a snake? Like this, okay? So that means I can use something like, dash in between, not dash, I beg your pardon, underscore. So I can use this, my dash, underscore, please, not, that name underscore me. Okay, so this is possible. Otherwise, I can make them all capital, my, that, like that, name, like that, me. Okay, equal some stuff. Okay, cool. Now, one of the things you should understand, especially when you're working with data frames, is like Python, supports. Python gives support for what? What do you call them? Python gives support for multiple values at the same time. So can we actually do that now? So when I move here, okay, let's look at assigning multiple values. Assign multiple values. So how do we do that? So if you get back here, you see, let's say I have A, comma, I want A to be like 10, B is 20, and C is 30. I can do this in one go. A, comma, B, comma, C is equal to, it can be like 10, comma, 20, comma, 30. Now, what do we need to do now? So if I want to print this, right? So I can just say print like that. So I'm going to print A. Okay, should I print with one print statement? So I want them to be printed in different lines. So I'm going to say A, B, and C. Okay, so that's it. That's basically what it is. And I think I'll be jumping to some array slicing and stuff and things like that. So you see, when I do this, I'm going to then get 10, 20, 30. Let me see if there's any questions so far. All right. Okay, so this is possible, right? Now, what we're going to do next is, okay, once this is actually done, sorry, I have a question. I'm going to take that now. Okay. Oh, he's my very good friend and student. And I can say he's now a mentor. Okay. All right. So, yes, thank you for congratulating me. Fine. All right. So, yes, I use Jupyter Lab. Okay, in the next session. All right, cool. Okay, cool. Okay, thank you so much. I will try exploring that. So, yeah, by the way, the reason I decided not to use Jupyter Lab and stuff is for the codes to be reproducible, right? So I want to share this notebook as soon as the class is over so that students will not have any issues replicating the stuff. But yeah, thank you. I can use Jupyter Lab next time. Yeah, by the way, yeah, you have really influenced me and you have been one of the backbone, why I do what I do. All right, thank you. I wouldn't take your name, yeah, to avoid conflicts. All right, so we have done this actually, this multiple assignment operation, okay? And then, so I don't want to talk about unpacking and stuff because I don't think we really need that, okay? So now I'm going to move into some kind of, some data types and then with emphasis on, what do you call now? With emphasis on lists, tuples, dictionaries, and sets. Okay, so from here, I'm going to take a dive into what? Lists. All right, so I'll go here. I will just look at this now. I will say Python lists. Okay, so be looking into now Python list. Fine. Okay, so why are these actually essential? So, like, if you are going to work as a data scientist and stuff like that, obviously, we'll be needing to do kind of some slicing. Okay, so that means it's going to look like an array, but please, let's not get confused here. This tutorial is mostly for data science and machine learning projects. All right, so that's why I thought, fine, I'm skipping most of the fundamentals. Okay, so okay, done. Let's start. All right, so what are we going to do? Now, in this case, I'm going to start with what? Python list. So let's add some code snippets here. So again, lists are used to store multiple items in a single variable. So why do we need lists? Why not array? So array will allow you, to store, items, okay, of the same type, okay, and usually you have some limitations while working with that because in this kind of stuff, see, lists can also, yes, arrays are mutable. Obviously, lists are mutable. You can add to the list. You can actually modify, you can delete, you can do all what's not. So these are, the fundamental, the most important types of or data types, okay, which we have in Python. Other ones are like, tuples, sets, and dictionaries. All right. So we'll be starting with Python list. And how do you create a list? Okay. Basically, so let's create one. Let's create a list. Okay. Now, what do we do? So let's say I want a list to hold fruits. All right, so this is the variable, and then what we'll do is just like how do you call it, an array, you just open the square braces, and then I want a string value, right? So I like apples, maybe I like beetroot. Okay, is beetroot a fruit? Even I don't know. Okay, so I don't know anyway. Okay, say let's put mangoes. and then what else? Let's say, who knows, grapes. Fine. All right. Now this is done. Okay. What do you do? How do you print this? So if I call FRUITS, please guys listen and just do this. It's going to print the contents of that. But look at how it's printed. Now I'm going to do another thing here. I'm going to add another code snippet here, and I'm going to wrap this around a print statement. So I say print FRUITS. Fine. Now, what did you think happened? Literally nothing happened, right? So this is because, you know, Google Colab knew that when I call fruits, I actually wanted to print the content of this variable, right? So that's why it printed this and it returned this like as an array, okay? So I can actually check the type of this, okay? So I can actually print, they say, type of this, okay, say type, and of this variable fruits. Fine. So when I do this now, okay, it's going to tell me it's actually a list. Fine. So that's why we say it's an array list or something like that. Okay. So I got this now, and then can I actually look at something? You know, so I might want to perform some operations which we do when we get to like you know, what do you call, when you start working on data frames, like, you know, you use Python, you use Pandas as a data frame. So you might need to do some things which you call like slicing, or, you know, like taking out a part of this list. So for that, I'm going to add to this list, and we perform some little operations on this list, right? Okay, can we do that? All right. So a couple of things we need to do here. Let's say I'm going to increase this now, whatever is in the list. Let's add something. Don't blame me, guys. Carrots. I'm just going to add things here. I add carrots, and then in between I will add what else? I don't know what to add. I'm going to add beetroot. Okay, whether it's a fruit, who knows? Okay, so and then there maybe I'll add cherries, CHERRY. Okay, okay. I don't know how to spell cherry anyway. Forget it. So when I do the same thing, I'm going to get the whole stuff here. Now what I want to do, and I know that this is of type list. So what I want to do here is I want to kind of take out, maybe I want to take out apples and mangoes. Fine. I mean, I want to print only apples and mangoes. I don't want to remove now. Okay. So this is where the ordering comes into play. So remember, these are usually indexed. So index starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's going to be like n minus 1, where n is the length of the list. So if I just do one thing here, if I just call len function on fruits, FRUITS, okay, so what do you think it will return? It will return the length of this. It's going to return 6. That means there are 6 items in this with index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if I want to return the last one, right, so what I can do is I just need to, okay, I need to move to the next cell. How do I actually add this? Oh, Control MB. So Control MB. Okay, let me press that. Control MB. Yeah, that's inserted. All right. So here I can actually do this. I'll just say fruits, FRUITS. Now, if I say fruits of 0, it's going to return the first one, which is apples. Fine. Now, I wanted to return apples and mangoes, so I'm going to say :1. Done. Okay. Now, okay. So now this is a problem. So if you see here, this is the first index 0, this is the second index 1. So this is kind of, it performs non-inclusive index range, right? So it doesn't include this first index. So if I want apples and mangoes, I need to move to the number that is one step ahead of that, because it's going to return only 0, 1, and 2. But when I did only 0, 1, it returned only the first index. Right? So I'm going to say 2, so it will return 0, 1, and that will perform n minus 1 because the length here is 2. So I got this, right? So another thing, if I ask you to use Control MB, so if I ask you to use in array slicing, okay, to return, say, all the elements in this list. So what you can do is just say FRUITS. Now just, you know, just put semicolon. That means it's going to start from the beginning until the end. So once I run this, I'm going to get the same thing is returned. Okay, what if I want to return this in reverse order? What if I want to return this, the last item of this? What if I want to? So that's what we're going to do for now, all right? So we don't want to start wasting time on this, okay? So what I want to do here is I'm going to look into how we kind of, you know, we have seen how we assess this, right? So we can assess it by looking at this. And then we have seen, okay, maybe I didn't show you that, like, returning the last element in this, right? So Control MB, I'm going to perform the same thing now. So if I want to do this, what I can actually do is FRUITS. Now I will say, what is the last index? The last index will be what? N-1, right? So if I just say -1, it's going to return cherry. Fine. So, okay, it returns cherry. But what if I want to say, okay, I want to return maybe from cherry, I want to return cherry, beetroot, and carrots. Okay, that is your assignment. All right, anyway. So, this is what we have actually seen, and most of what we have done now is called array slicing. Okay, so we are actually taking part of the array and then we kind of return what is there. Okay, so let's try to reassign this. Let's say I don't like mangoes. Okay, I need to reassign mangoes, maybe like to pomegranates. Okay, so I'm going to use pomo for short. So what we do is I'm going to ensure that what I have, Control MB, what I have is what is there. So I know I am looking at fruits here. Now I just need to reassign this, right? So what is the index of mango? You should remember that the index is 1. Yes? Okay, so this one, I now need to reassign a new value to that, right? So I want to say pomegranates, pomo, okay, whatever. So now let's see what happens. Let me return fruits. Now I'm not wrapping it around print statement. Actually, you can do the same thing. So print FUITS. So this is done. Now you see, you should now see in place of mangoes, pomegranate is there. Now, okay. Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Yes. Okay. I will be winding up with the basics and then we start the NumPy. Okay. Yes, sir. Welcome back, sir. So let's continue. So this is basically what we want. Like, you know, I can actually slice out some stuff. I just replace this now, fruits with pomegranate, and then Control B. So this is done. Okay. So can we actually remove items from this? So now let's look at, apart from, you know, assigning this way, this is not what we do most times. So you might actually want to use the inbuilt method. So if you want to add to this, so that a function is called append, right? So append is like, you know, pushing into this. So we'll now see the difference between append and insert. So when I append, it's going to append this where exactly? Should it be anywhere in the list or should it be at a specific location? That is the difference between append and insert. So using append, so I'm going to add comment now. I say using append, okay? So let's perform some operations now. So this is the list, right? So what I'm going to do, I will say FRUITS, and you don't need to import all these. These are already imported by default. So fruits.append. Okay, now I want to add, I don't have oranges, so let me add oranges now. So I'll say oranges. Okay, so the question is, where will it add this orange? You know, will it add it at the beginning, at the end, or anywhere randomly? Okay, so if you do this, that means you need to just Control MB. You need to just print this and just see where it's added. Okay, so when I do this now, what I'm going to get, see oranges is added at the last. Okay, guys, so this is what happens. It's going to add it. Think of it as a stack, right? So yeah, so you have stacked books. So if you want to add anything, right, you can. It's not a queue. You remember here in a queue, you just think of what is happening in India. Okay, so in many times you see, I'll go to petrol bunk, somebody will just come and bridge the gap, you know, bridge the line. They'll jump in from anywhere. But if it's a stack, you have stacked things on top of the other, right? The last element obviously will be there, right? And that one last element is the first one to go out, right? So you have to add it in the order in which they arrive. Now, if I want to insert it at a specific location, say I want to insert this at pomegranate, right? So what I will do is Control MB. So what I will do is I'm going to just say FRUITS. Now fruits dot insert INSERT. Okay. Now I say the first one at the first, I mean the second index, please. The second index is index 1, right? So that is at location 1. So I need to add these oranges there now. Fine. Okay. Now nothing will happen. Obvious. I mean, it's added, but I need to print it, right? So I will just say FRUITS, same thing. And if you see, now you're going to see it's at this location now, right? And it's returned this CC. This is the same thing as what? My same stuff. Okay. Now oranges are there. Oranges, and then that. Okay. Because again, I inserted and then I ran it again. Okay. So I'm going to get this. So duplicates are allowed, right? Now, in most cases, you see, you might not want this kind of stuff to happen, right? So in that case, you might need to, know that obviously you might know that, what's it called, a list is not the way to go, okay? Now, I don't want to waste your time on this comprehension and all whatnot. I'm just going to touch as an extensive tutorial actually. It's available on this channel, but again, I think I stretched it so much, okay, where I did the 50 days of Python challenge. So you get everything there in detail, okay? Now, one thing we need to compare is tuples versus list, okay? So what you should understand is like, a tuple, again, preserves the order, but you cannot modify, the elements in that tuple, okay? So can we kind of try something here, okay? So we try to change whatever we have into a tuple. So I'm going to copy everything here. So this is whatever we have here, just copies from here, okay? So I'm copying the entire thing. So this is what we had actually. So copy, Control C. Now I need to, what do I do actually? I need to now change it into a tuple. So how is it different from a list? So in a list, you kind of write it in form of a dictionary. In form of an array. But when you work on tuple, so you need to, it's going to look like a set, but it's not exactly a set. So instead of me to just say here and just call it maybe fruits2, fruits, okay, fruits2, okay. Now, what we did initially was something like this, right? And then we close that. So in this case, I'm going to change it into these braces, okay, not square braces, but like, the circular braces. Actually, these are called braces only. Now, so once I get this now, I remember you can use single or double quote, it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to print this now, fine, and I will call type of on that, okay? So again, okay, what did I get? So I'm getting, okay, so I just need to verify this once. Why? Oh, sorry, that was an error, guys. So yeah, exactly. So this is what we needed. Fine. Remember, I went and I printed fruits, and that was why that happened, okay? So this is what I was referring to, okay? In that case, please don't look at whatever is down. I don't want to delete anything because, yes, we might need it in the upcoming classes, lectures. All right, so this is it, and you can verify whether it's actually a tuple. You just say type of what? Fruits2, fruits. Now, fruits2, and you're going to see the type, so it's a tuple. All right, so if this holds true, now we want to know, like, since we say like the order is unchangeable, but will it actually allow duplicates? Okay, let's try seeing something here, okay? So let's try say adding multiple items. See here we have this, right? Pomegranate, everything and things like that. So I'm going to copy this guy, okay? And then here I'll add multiple items. Say I'll add multiple oranges. So the question is, allow duplicates or not? Allow duplicates. So okay, what did you guess? Yes or no? Or no idea? So I'm going to add again apples, okay? So I will do here, I will just say fruits. Okay, it's like same thing as say printing it, okay? Now, okay. Now you see, obviously it allowed that, right? So it's like, okay, fine. Yeah, whatever you just did, I'm going to just allow that, and then that is actually what you wanted, right? So I just going to like let you just do that. But if you look at a list, okay, can we actually have multiple types in that list? Can we actually have multiple types in tuple? So many of the stuff I just want you to kind of, experiment and find out. Now it's almost time, and then I think what will happen is in between, if there is any need for us, to revisit some concepts, we're going to do that. Okay, so before I jump into pandas and numpy, let's do some quick kind of exercise, to look at if we'll be able to do that. Okay, so I'm going to add this now. I will just say some exercises now. Okay, some exercises. So we're going to work on this together, okay, and see if we'll be able to remember a couple of things. Okay, so let's do it now. Okay, so what are we going to do? Even I don't know. Okay, so fine, I'm going to add some codes code styles below. Fine. And here I will look at something. Okay. So the first one, so I want you kind of to tell me what the output of something I'm going to write will be. Okay. So because say if I just say 2 star, say I'm going to say 2 star 6. This 2 star 6 is going to give me 12. However, if I say 2 asterisk, double asterisk 6, okay, what do you think the output is going to be? Is it going to give me 12, or is it going to give me 144, or is it going to give me what exactly? All right. So yes, I know many of you are busy with your internals, but anyway, so this is going to perform exponentiation, and I think we skip that. So this is going to give us, like, 2 into 2 into 2 into 2 into 2 into 2, like that. Okay, so 2 into 2 into 2 6 times, right? So if you do the maths, so you're going to get what? 64, right? Okay, now this is the basic one. Okay, so maybe it's kind of a warm-up for us. So I have a couple of things which we want us to discuss. So let's say you have a string. So that string, just call it name. The string says I am Victor, IKECHUKW. Okay. Now, what I want you to do here is, I actually want you to return this. Can you return it as a what? A list. Fine. So you have this. This is the input. Okay. And now what I expect as the output is, I want you to return something like this. Okay. Say I. And then you're going to get comma. Then I'm going to say I am, like that. Then comma. Then blah, blah, blah. Okay. Victor. So how will you actually do this? Right? Because this is just a normal string, right? So we just assign this to that. So what we'll do here is, I'm going to look at this as, I'm going to leave this as my output. Fine. And we try to, like, see if we mirror this. So I'm going to add this, leave it as a comment. And what you need to do is, there's this function called split, right? So what I just need to do is, I just call this on name. I say name.split. Now we'll be using this because, let's say you are working on a tweet sentiment analysis. You want to split it, based on a particular, say, a symbol or something like that. So now when you do this, now you're going to get this. So I am Victor, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that happens. And there's something we normally do. Let's say, I want to print something like, say, I want to print like, they say name, same thing. Okay. Name and age, I'm just sweet 16. Okay. So I'll say age is equal to 16. Okay. Now, what do you do? Say, I want to say print, I am 16 years old. How will you print this, right? Because we normally do this. So you can say I am 16 years old, but I wanted to use the variable, right? I am 16 years old. Okay, so my name is this, and I am 16 years old, or 16 years young. So what you can do here is use the format specifier. Can I call it? I'm not talking of /n and /stuff, okay? So I'm going to use the format string. It's called a format string. So let me not call it format specifier this time. So if I just say I am Victor, like that, and I am 16 years old, and I am 16 years old, you're going to get something like this. Okay, don't beat me. I'm not 16 years, okay? So yeah. So what we know do here is, so we have two variables, right? So the first variable is this, and the second variable is that. So to make it simple, I'm going to reassign this. I will say name. I'll just use single string. Now I'll say Victor. Now, and I'll say age is equal 16. Now what I want to do is, I want to print this using what? The format string. So what you can do is just say print. So two possibilities are there. I'm going to use the first one. Okay, and then we go and change it into, I will just use the basic one. No need to confuse you guys. So print, I will just say, I am is not there, right? Now I am. So inside here, I'll just use this empty, what do you call it, curly brace, right? So, and years is a string. I am 16 years old. Okay, so I forgot name, please. So I'll say my name is, okay, so this is there, and you can say, and I am 16 years old. All right, but yeah, if I do this, obviously it's going to print this empty thing. So what I will do, I'll just say dot format, format. Now once I call this, now I need to pass the two variables. So what are the variables? Name in the order in which we want it to appear. Okay, so name and age, and when I run this now, I should get that. My name is, okay, oh, sorry. So look at what happened, guys. So my name is Victor Kechiko and I am 16 years old. Okay, my name is, and I am 16 years old. Okay, so I actually use this again. Look here, name, I am Victor Kechiko, remember? So this name again, actually when I overwrite it, it should actually happen. I am this Victor and I'm 16 years old. So why this happened? My name is, so yeah, Victor, I am Victor Kechiko and I am 16 years old. And I am 16 years old. Anyway, you got the concept, so I just need to rename this, or maybe I'll just change this now. I'll just call it name2. Okay, so yeah, so usually this is, I should actually name it here, obviously, guys. So I'm gonna change this to Control C, and then I'm gonna print them here, right in here. So this is what I want you to note. Okay, and when I run this now, it should, oh, sorry, I should refer to this variable now too, and then that works fine. Okay, my name is Victor and I'm 16 years old. So this is done. Okay, now let's do a simple, what do you call it, array slicing operation. I think I kept that here. So I'm going to go down. Please look here. Look at this. Okay, so look at this, and I'm going to ask you. So the first thing is, okay, this is a list, right? So I want you to return Wakanda from this list. All right. So this looks so confusing at first glance, right? So we are going to create this list once again. So I will call it difficult list. It's actually not difficult. Okay, it's actually not difficult. So let's look at this. So I'm going to do this. I'll just say I should do that in the order before I go to read. So I'm going to copy this guy out. I'll just copy this guy out from here. Okay, I'll copy this out, and then I will go a little up. Okay, because we are jumping right away into some stuff next. So look at this carefully. Okay, so here I'm going to paste this. Fine. Now, first thing is, if you want to print Wakanda, you might need to know the length of this string. Sorry, the list, right? So you can first of all check, is this a list? Is it a tuple? Is it what? Obviously, it's a list. So let's look at the type. So now you notice that it's a list. So what you're supposed to do next is, you need to slice this, right? So that I'll focus only on Wakanda. So what I will do, I'll look at this. Okay, let me look at the len of this list. Fine, LST. Now, when I call this on that, it's going to return something. It's going to return something. What is the length, guys? 6. Are you sure this is 6? Can you confirm? Are you sure? Do you have any objection? Okay, let's count. Okay, so index starts from 0, right? So we expect to see 7 items in this list. 0, 1. Now, let's look at C. Whenever you see this open brace, look at where it's closed. It's closed here, right? So this is 2. So this is 0. This is 1. So this is opened and closed here. So this 30 and 40 is 2. So if I want to return 40, I have to say 2, 1. Right? We will do that. Now, 0, 1, 2. So that means 3. Look here. Look at where 3 starts. From 50 and it ends after 16. So this entire thing is 3. Right? So 3, 0, 3, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. Like that. Okay, no problem. So 4, 5, 6. Sorry, look here, please. So 0, this is 0, this is 1, this is 2. No doubt. So this entire thing is 3. Fine. So the entire thing, see here, starting from this, just click here, and this is where it ends. Okay. So 4, 4, and 5. So from 0 to 5, the length is 6. Fine. So how do I actually return this guy then? Right? Because it looks confusing now, right? So that means I can perform a couple of things here. So I'll say, okay, fine, since I know that in here, this is the list that holds that, right? So this is the index that holds that. LST, if I say LST 3, right, it's going to return from 30, 40, 50, 60, like that, up to Wakanda. So let's see. This is what we have. Fine. So we are here. Now, I need to get into here. So that means I have 3, 0. So this is like 3, 1, like that. Is it? Right? Inside 3, 0, 3, 1, 3, whatever. Inside here I have 2. So let's try and perform this. LST. Okay. So I'm going to say 3. Then I'm going to say 1. Let's see what it returns. I'll say Shift Enter. Now I'm closer. Yes, obviously. So that means what is the index value of this now? 0, 1, 2. So I'm going to repeat the same thing. I will now say that. Control V. And then I add 2. And there you go. I have returned This guy. Oh, no. Let's see what we're going to return. Please look here. What are we going to return? Oh, yeah, that's fine. So what if yeah, and that is 0 index, and that's the only thing that is there. Fine? Okay, cool. Now, looking at that, what if okay, we didn't get into the concept of functions, okay? So let's say I want you to know to split a string based on some certain conditions. So we leave that in the, let it be a project-based stuff. So enough of all this stuff, okay, let's get into NumPy, right? So I'll be moving into NumPy before we get into pandas, okay? So we'll be starting with the first one now. So we now say, oh yeah, welcome to NumPy. All right. So I'm going to do something now. I'll say, okay, welcome to NUMPY. Fine. So first thing first, what is this NumPy and why do we need it, right? So I'm not going to bore you down with tutorials again. So we said this is project-based stuff. So quick thing here, okay? So a NumPy is kind of a Python library. So can I actually I add some stuff here? So I'll add some code. All right. Okay. So first thing, let's look at this guy here. So I prefer to type this time around. So what is this guy NumPy and why? And why do we need it? Why do we need NumPy? Fine. So to answer this, you might think of it as something which even I don't know. Fine. So you might think that, okay, this guy is what? A Python library. So if it's a Python library, it is what? Used heavily when working with arrays. With what? Arrays. Fine. I mean, when working with arrays. And what does it stand for actually? So NumPy is an abbreviation for what? Numeric. Is it numerical Python or numeric Python? Okay, you can call it numerical Python. So that means, you know, you're going to perform some operations on this, like creating arrays, indexing arrays, slicing arrays, performing copy, I mean, maybe join, split, and or whatnot, okay? So if you are up to the challenge, now what do we do? Okay, so there are two approaches to this. So if you are using Jupyter Notebook, running it offline, if you are using this guy, you know, Jupyter Notebook, you are supposed to install NumPy and then use that. But since we are using what do you call it, Collab, everything is already installed by default. So I just call that up. So let's say I wanted to do something on this. I'll go to 100, this AI workshop. I just go to new. Okay, I just wanted it. I'll just say Python 3. I'll try to see if this is imported. Okay, so if it's not imported, what we do is, like, let's say let me just do something here. I'll just say import NumPy. Now you can import it as alias, okay, but for now let me not import as alias. I'll just type import NumPy. So this actually works. If it's not there, you can do this. You say pip. Okay, I use exclamation mark. Even in Python 3.3 and above, you can actually do pip install without exclamation mark NumPy, and this will also work. Okay, so it's going to tell me requirement already satisfied. Okay, and if you happen to get an error, okay, what you do, just append exclamation mark there and just see, it says, you know, it says NumPy already, this already is, requirement already satisfied. So it doesn't really matter if you do this pip install this way or you do it this way. Okay, so usually we use exclamation mark when working with Jupyter Notebook. Okay, so no worries. So I'm not going to waste time on this because, again, I want to make the code reproducible. So here I don't need to do that, okay, because it's already there. But let's say it's not there. Let's assume it's not there. So I'll just say pip install. I'll just say NumPy, shift enter. Now it's going to tell me the requirement is already satisfied. Looking for indexes C, requirement already satisfied. Okay, so no need. So I'll go ahead and start working with NumPy. Okay, on this note, am I fast? All right. Okay. All right. So what I will do is I will get back here. Now I will say, okay, fine, let's start. Okay. So I want to do one thing. So, and I'll tell you why we need aliases. Like, alias is like a short name, like Vic, like, you know, Ikechukwu is my Igbo name. Ikechukwu is my Igbo name. Okay. But usually my parents call me Ike, Iyke. So you can say Ikechukwu is now Ike as an alias, right? So why do we need this? Just watch here. If I say import numpy, no worries, it will import. Now let's create an array of what? Integer values now. So I'll just call it maybe ARR, okay? Now ARR1, I'll just say this will hold values, right? So the values is I wanted array of what? Say I want integer values 1, comma. Don't worry, we're going to use range function later, okay? So 5. Now that means this will not happen because obviously I'm using this Python library. I need to say numpy numpy dot array, right? Now if I'm going to use this now, then I need to cover them in these braces. Fine, okay, done. And finally I can actually print this. So when I print this guy, print ARR1 is going to actually print it. Now watch here, it's going to print it like an array only, right? Populated with this. But we don't want to be using numpy everywhere. That's why I'm going to change this now. Instead of saying import numpy, I will say import numpy as alias. It makes the code, easy. It saves you lots of tension, and then makes it easy for you kind of to do some, work. Your work easier. So I'll say import numpy as np numeric python, and I'm going to replicate the same thing. But in this case now, what I need to do is I will just say what? So I will just say np instead of saying numpy. I'll say np.array. Got it now? So I'm using this alias actually to refer to that guy. Fine. And when I print this, it's going to print exactly the same thing. Fine. Now, once this is done, now you might need to know what type it is, like as we just did in the previous class. So what I will do, I'm going to call the type operator on, type method on that, type, and I'm going to ask ARR of 1. What did I get? It's going to tell me it is what n-dimensional array. So what dimension? So this is 1 row, right, into 5 columns. So it's going to be like 1 by 5, but usually we refer only to this rows, okay? So like not a 2-dimensional array where you have like a matrix kind of stuff, like a number of rows with a number of columns. Fine. So you might be wondering now, okay, why do we use numpy, right? So we have lists and they serve the same purpose, okay? But if you notice here, the process, when you work on lists, the process is kind of slow, okay? So, and numpy provides this array object that is kind of, I think, 50 times faster than the traditional Python list. Fine. So and this array object is called nd array, right? And it provides lots of support for you to work with. All right. So if that holds true, now you have actually created this array, right? So you have actually performed some operation on that. You've imported it as alias. We actually printed it. You might want to know what version of what numpy you are using, right? So what you do, you just say np. Now np, okay? Now I'm going to say dot, please remember dot. Now I'm going to do this, okay? This is like a global variable, double underscore, okay? Double underscore. So you see here, okay? So now I'm going to call version on it. Fine. Now, and it ends. Now run this. So it's going to tell me which version. So I'm using 1.12 to 1.6. You might ask now, why is this necessary? You see, some projects, sometimes projects are built using specific versions of NumPy, specific versions of Pandas, specific versions of TensorFlow. So if you really want to like install that version, you can say pip install like NumPy equal like that's specific version. So equal like 1.2, maybe 0.1, maybe 1.8 points, whatever. Okay, so that is what is there, and you've seen how we actually do that, right? And we have actually looked at most of the stuff here. And now another thing you might do is like if you want to kind of say create a 0-dimensional array of like what do you call it, NumPy, and with some value, right? So I don't want to create them. I mean 0-dimensional in the sense, let me just show you what I mean. Okay, so we had already done this, right? So we did import NumPy and stuff like that, and that we created like a 1D. Okay, so import. So let me create a 0D, import NumPy as np. Now this is done. So if I want to create a 0 dimension, so I'll call this 2. Okay, sorry, I call this 0. Okay, now I'm going to say np. Okay, dot array. Now, oh sorry, I don't want to concatenate to string, convert to string now. So what I will do is I will just add maybe an integer value. Maybe I'll just add 3. Now you might say, okay, how is this 0? I'm not saying mp.zeros, which is going to populate the entire thing with zeros. That's what I mean. So I'm talking about 0-dimensional array, 1-dimensional array, and what's 2-dimensional array. So what we just seen here above is like a 1D array. Okay, so this one is a 1-dimensional array. So there's another one which we call 0-dimensional array, and then finally what you call what? Okay, 2-dimensional array, or you call it multi-dimensional array. So it's going to just give me this. I mean, it's going to say it's array of what? 3. Okay, so actually literally what I need is just 3 here, so I can actually wrap this around the print statement. Okay, I need to return this value. I'll say print, and then I do this. Okay, so this is fine. Yeah, so this is what I wanted. Okay, so it's going to print this value. Now if you want to create a 2-dimensional array, what you can do is you can kind of create them like a list, right? So we've seen this 1 2 3 4 5. So I'm going to repeat the same thing here. So instead of doing this now, I already imported NumPy. So I will just run this. I just believe it's still there in the cell. So I've created this, fine. Now I'm going to create a 2D array, right? So I'll just say something like this. Now 1 2 3 4 5. Now, okay, I'll just visualize this. How do you visualize this? I need to draw something now. Okay, let's say what I want to do now is I just need to create an array. Say I'll call it 2D array. Okay, now this 2D array is going to hold this value, like 1 2 3 4, maybe like I have 5 6 7 8. You can also have 9 10 11 12, okay, something like that. But if you look at this is like a matrix, right? So how do I keep this together? So what I can do is have multiple arrays, right, like this. So this will be the internal one. I'll say 1 2 3, fine. Then I'll put comma. Then I can actually write this way, 4 5 6. Then I'll cover it. Okay, so I'm going to count this. So I'll say, okay, there are 2 of them, so this is 2-dimensional. So the next question, can we have 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional? So if you think of this, if I extend this, like I add 7 9 and okay, 9 10 11 whatever 12, this actually can still be called a 2-dimensional array. So usually we have 1-dimensional array and multi-dimensional array. So anything above 1 can be called a multi-dimensional array. So let's create something like this. So what we have is till here is fine, right? So till here is fine. I'm going to have mp.array of that 1 2 3 4 and 5, right? So before I close this, so maybe I'll just put comma here, okay, and then I'll start another one. I'll say this is 6, okay, 7 8 and 9. All right, okay, so now there are this, and I need to make it 10. So I need to count how many braces that are there now. So 2 of them should be there, and finally I'll close it. Okay, now once this is done, what I need to do is I'm going to print this, right? So if I print, I'll say print ARR of 2. Done. Okay, now once I do this, so I have actually created this, right? So okay, how do you create 3-dimensional array? Like I said, so the same thing you have to do, just increase the number of braces. So can we create one? Let's just create something and then print it. Okay, so I'm going to paste some code here. Okay, so when I get here now, so I want to say create a 3D array. Fine, 3D array. Now what I will do here is I will just paste this code, and then you count 1 see 3 of them open here, that's 3 of them closes. Okay, so I can call it ARR3, and then I'll print this ARR of that, and then I run this, and there you go. Okay, so we're gonna get this. Now if you watch here, so you have this, right? Okay, and then it's kind of evenly spaced out, because it says, so till here you've got this over. Okay, so watch here guys. So I had this is kind of a list inside a list, right? So which you can call nesting of list. Okay, or you can actually do it this way, where you just have to just have all this kind of braces. Okay, the 3 braces together. Fine. All right. Okay, so you can now want to know how many dimensions does an array have, right? Like, if you have all this stuff, right? How do you know if I'm saying it's 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3 dimension, right? So if that is you, so can we kind of look at all this stuff which we have created? So we created, for the 0 we called it ARR0, right? So for 1 we call that, for 2 we call that, and for 3 we call that. So why don't we use a print statement and print all of them? So I'm going to say print. Now what was that called? We called it ARR0, right? Dot, we're going to call this method NDM, dim, okay, dimension, okay. Oh, I just typed s, so n dimension. So once I call this now, it's going to tell me, so this is actually 0, right? So I will do the same thing here. I will just say print. Now I'm going to do it on 1, ARR of what? So 1 dot what? NDM, NDIM, fine. Repeat the same thing for 2, print. I will say that ARR of 2, yeah, dot NDIM. And repeat the same thing for 3. I'll say print. Then I'm going to do the same thing, ARR 3 dot NDIM, done. Okay, now let's check. Okay, what is it going to return? So you see it returned that 0 dimension, 1 dimension, 2 dimension, and 3. Fine. So now you might be asking, okay, how do you create arrays, right, with like 5 dimensions, right? So what you need to do is like you just need to pass that this optional what do you call it, argument as ndm equal what, 5. So can we try creating that? Let's look at something here. Okay, let's take a 0 dimensional, or let's take a 1 dimensional array, right, which was 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, remember? Or let's take this, and then we create it with a 5 dimension. That means we are supposed to see 5 square braces, right? So you might be asking, why are all these things necessary? Okay, so now we'll be using most of them, you know, as the class proceeds. So what I will do now is I'm going to just paste this. Okay, so all I needed was just this one. Please look here, guys. So better I type it actually. So I'm going to say create a 5-dimensional array. Fine. Using what? This guy. All right, it says swing. Using numpy. Fine. So what I will do here is I will just, okay, fine. So I'm going to call it ARR of 5. Fine. Now I'll just say mp dot ARR array of what? Now I'm just going to create, remember, I'm just going to reuse my 1-dimensional array. So maybe in this case, I just need this only. Okay. Now I will add this optional argument ndim. Okay. So ndim, that is n-dimensional minimum as in ndmin, please. Nd, that is n-dimensional array. Okay, with I need the minimum size of, say, I want 6. Fine. So I just go and then, okay, for that now I not need to say print this array first. Let's print the array. Okay, so in that case I need to rename this guy as ARR of 6. Go back there and change this since, okay, let's keep it simple, guys. I already said 5. Let's not confuse ourselves here. So this is still there. This is what we have, and I need to add this statement, maybe like the number of dimension is something, you know, so we know, right? The dimension is something. Okay, so the dimension is now I will just need to say ARR of 5 dot what? NDIM. Got it? Okay, NDIM. Okay, fine. Now let's see. So when I run this, okay, now look here. So if you count this, you're going to see the you know, how many braces that are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the dimension is 5. Okay, all right. So is there any questions so far? All right. Okay, fine. All right. Okay, so I think we are kind of done with this. So we can look into like array slicing and all whatnot and things like that. And it's almost similar to what we have actually done previously. Okay, so I think I will look into, and please don't forget, the index is the same thing as it is also in the normal stuff. So if I want to return this, I can call the same thing. I can say ARR 5 of what? Say if I want the first index, I'll say 0, and it's going to return what? 1 there, right? So I mean, okay, don't forget, guys, because this is like the 5th dimension. That's what we created. So if I'm going to do this now, I'm just going to leave this and go back to the first one. Fine. So you're going to see this. Okay, so this is what is it. Okay, so I'm going to get 1. That is, I'm talking of this one, right? I believe you know what I'm talking about. So when we created this, right? So the first index is at, the first index value is 1, right? And then the last one is that. So previously, you know, whatever we've done on our arrays, we can actually do it with what? Pandas. Fine. Now, is this what we are going to do in in NumPy, please? I'm not talking of pandas. I'm just talking of pandas already. So is this what we're going to do in NumPy? No. There are lots and lots of stuff we can do in NumPy, okay? So I think I will look at array slicing in NumPy and we try to wind up, right? So we will create an array, and then in this case now we're going to use what we call like another optional parameter, which is the step size. So for that, I just create this using a step size. Using step. Okay, I can call it step size now. Step, that is number of jumps. So if I'm number of jumps, so if I want to say, okay, slice this array, okay, let's just do something. I don't need to import again. Okay, number of jumps I want like 2. So I'm going to do something here now. I'll just create an array. Now in this case, I'll call it like exe, array example. In this, I just need to populate it. I'll say mp dot array. Now this array of some stuff, fine. So I need numbers. Let me just count numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Fine. Now I want to print every alternate number, right? So what I can do is I will just say print. Okay. So I will just say array-ex. Fine. Array example. Sorry. Now, what I will do is just watch. If I just say, remember when I do this, it's going to print everything, right? Fine. Now, I want to start jumping one step at a time. So what I will do, I will just go back here. Fine. I will say I want to start from the first one, right, till the end. Fine. That means, sorry, the first index is 0. Fine. Okay. Till the end. But if I need a step size, right, if I need a step size of something, so 0 till end. End is what, guys? So end is, first thing you need to know the length, right? So the length is 10. So 0 to 9. And I want to jump. I print every alternate one. I will stay 2. So 2 is like the step size. So what it's going to give me? It will start from, see there, 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. So this is like looking at this set of what? Integer numbers between 0 to 9. Between 0 to 9, starting from 1 and ending at 0. I want you to print all the odd numbers here. So this actually happened. And in this case, you can look into what we call negative, what do you call it? Like negative slicing, right? So say I want to take let's look at this. So this is 0 is -1. So what I can do here, I can actually get back here. I'll just, instead of using print statement, now you know already, right? I'll say array-ex. And what I will do, I'll just do something here. I just needed the last index, the last index value, so which is 0. So once I do this, I'm going to get 0. Okay. But let's say I need a range. So I need to start from say I want to return only 8. So 0, 1, -2. So once I say -2, it's going to return that. No worries, right? So it's going to return 0. Sorry, not 0 again. Please, still here it starts with -1, -2. So -2 returns 9. So if I want to return 8, I have to say -3. Okay. In that order. So till here. So let's say I want to start from -2 and I want to stop before this. So you need to start from -2, say -3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I don't want 4 to be printed, so I can actually do this, colon, I'll say -8. This actually works. Fine. So, sorry. Now, this is what we need, obviously, but I need, since I want to print this out, so I need to wrap it around the print statement. Okay, that's why it's actually returned that. I'll just say print. Okay, and then there you go. Go back there and just close the print statement. Fine. Done. Okay. Okay, now you see, it's like, why did it return 0 actually? All right. Okay, so I already sliced this guy out, please. I already sliced it out. So if I want to do that, I need to reassign this. That's why it returned an empty string. Don't get confused. So usually when this happens, you need to go again and rerun it, because it's like, okay, what are you actually telling me? This is what is there in the buffer. So I will just need to do the same thing here. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Okay. So in that case, I'll try to do this. I'll reassign this again. All right. Okay, I think I did it. Yeah, obviously. Sorry, guys. So I should start from this -8. Yeah, that's what I needed. And then I stop at maybe -2. Okay. Now, yes. So I'm going to get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 because I want to return it this way, right? Fine. So it starts from here and it stops at this, and that's it. Okay. So we have actually looked at these concepts of stuff, and literally whatever you can do with this, you can actually do it with what do you call it, with array. So one of the things that interests us, and I'll wind up with this, is like, random number generation, because usually what we are doing, we keep typing, right? So this is actually very wrong, right? Nobody does this. Okay, so I want you to generate random numbers, say from 1 to 500, okay, and then you can actually perform some operations on that, right? So two things you can do, okay? So if that holds true, let me see if there's any questions. Okay, so I'll be winding up. Fine. All right, so here, if I need to use this run to generate random numbers, so generate random numbers. So what I will do here, okay, so I don't need to now start creating the numbers, right? So this is actually one of the reasons why we need this numpy, okay? So what I will do, I just need to import that model, I mean, the random number, okay? So the number model. So what I will do, I'll say from numpy, numpy, import random, fine? Import random, okay? Now this is done, okay? Now what I will do is I need to generate random numbers, right? So I will just say, I call it maybe like num is going to be what? Random. It should be actually be there. Random dot random int. So I need a random integer number, rand int, okay? Now in range of 1 to 100, or maybe I'll just go to 150. That's actually what I said, 500 or 150, okay? Now, if that holds true, I now need to print, okay, any random number in this range, right? So if you watch here, if I just say num, just watch what happens now. So if I say num, it's going to print any of the random number. So it printed 40. If I run this num again, it says, see, you asked me to print any of the random number between this to that. So it shouldn't be giving me 40 all the time. No, why is it actually giving me 40? It shouldn't be giving me 40, okay? So usually I got this, okay, this was actually what is there, fine, okay, cool. So this is what I have. Now, if I want actually reassign it to maybe like num1, and then I'll run this again. Now it's gonna, yeah, it returned 90, okay? So this 90 is stored in this variable. So again, if I want to change, I can say, okay, fine, give me another random number. It's not going to go beyond 150, okay? So this is what we do. So you can actually use this when building a program like, guessing. So when the person guesses right, you said, okay, fine, guessing application, you got it right, and things like that. But most times we might want to like, put a kind of a fixed size. We want it to like, okay, have a fixed size of this. So where we have like, let's say, create a 3-row with like maybe like 5 columns in which we have to kind of generate random numbers. So we can do something like this. And anyway, that is kind of fine. But most times what we do in this case is like, if you want to work on projects, we might need to like, read a file, in form of what, CSV and things like that. And that is where, or what do you call it? And that is where pandas comes into play. So you might think of like, okay, numpy versus pandas, like, why am I actually confusing you? Like, why can't we stick to one thing at the same time, right? So why do we need pandas now? We are not even done with numpy. Why do we need pandas? So now look here. So all these things we're going to use when we start building projects. So let's look at pandas. Let's explore pandas. Okay. Okay, explore pandas. Okay, and then before that, I want us to do a comparative study. Okay, say I'll go here and then say numpy. Okay, numpy versus pandas. All right. So why do we use each of them? Okay, so you see here, numpy is memory efficient, but pandas has a better performance when the number of rows is 500k and above, right? All right. So numpy has a better performance when the number of rows is 50k or less. Indexing of the pandas series is very slow as compared to numpy array. So now the question is, which one should we use, right? So there are lots of stuff, differences and similarities. I'm going to link this up also in the description. But my intention here is now I'm tired of, looking at this, because what happens in real time when you start working on data sets, I'm going to show you this. So you might have some data sets in which you have in form of CSV file. So let me show you this. This is called the hard disease data set, and I'm going to open that up now. So if you look here, you're going to have a couple of things here, right? So you have, close this. So you have all this. or my license isn't genuine, who cares? So you're going to have all this, right? So, and then you have number of multiple rows there, control down. So I have like 1,000 plus stuff, and then we'll be like some columns, okay? So we'll be having other ones also in which we're going to have like 10,000 cross rows and stuff like that. And I really want to, do analysis on this. I want to know like whether there are missing attributes, whether there are, things like that that are missing and stuff like that. So that is where pandas comes into play, all right? So what I will do is, I don't want to keep this class for so long, okay? In the next class, we start with pandas, and then we should be able to work on our first project, okay? But just in case, let me just show you one code here. Okay, so this is actually panda as a dictionary, but before that, I think we should look at some basic pandas, okay, pandas operation. So usually, yes, we don't need to install pandas, fine, we already have that. But let's say I want to create a data frame. Okay, so I want to create my own data set, and that data set is going to have like my list of bicycles or something like that. So what I will do here is I'm going to add some code. I will create that, and then I'm reading it in the kind of a data frame, and you see the beauty. Okay, the beauty of what? Of pandas. Fine, because for analysis and stuff, most of the time we'll be referring to what? Pandas. We will not be using what? Numpy. Fine. All right, unless we have to do some numeric computation and stuff like that. All right, so let's look at this. So for that, I'm going to say import pandas. Fine, as a data frame. All right, so okay, you might be asking, okay, why do we need pandas, right? Did I even skip that? Okay, so this is a library again that we use when working with data sets. So it has functions, that will enable us to analyze, clean the data, something we call like data pre-processing, right? So we clean the data, or we can actually explore the data, which we call exploratory data analysis, EDA, exploratory data analysis, and we can actually do some manipulation, right? Find missing, kind of transform the data into another form or something like that. So, and pandas actually has reference to what we call panel data, okay? Or you can call it panda data analysis, fine? So, which was created by, I think, MC Kinney. I don't know how you pronounce his name, in 2008. So this one, Panda, will allow you to analyze big data and make conclusions based on statistical theories, right? So, and it is relatively, a go-to stuff to use when we are working on data science projects. Fine. So to get started, like I said, we don't need to install it. So we have just imported pandas, and let's create a data set. So I'll just call it my data. Okay. So in this case, I'm using camel case. So my data, and then I'm just creating this data set as kind of a dictionary. Okay. So yes, in case if you don't know the concept of dictionary, fine. You're going to have some key with value pairs in that. So I have my bicycles. So I'm going to call it bicycles, BICYCLES. So this bicycle, we have, some reference. Okay. So I am going to have this one. Okay. So I have, let's say I have Triban. 500. Okay, so this is just a brand of bicycle. It mustn't be watches, laptops, and mobile phones all the time. So maybe I have Rock Rider. So Rock Rider. Okay, like I have Rock Rider 520. Okay, and then maybe I have another one, which one? Scott's aspects. Okay, SCOTT Scott's aspects, whatever. Why not my favorite Merida Ultra, something like that. Okay. All right. So this is one, and then maybe I have another thing, and then I have the price. Okay. So that's actually not a semicolon; it's kind of a comma. So I have the price. So the price is going to be something like this. So the price might be. So I'm going to say, let's say the price. Now I'm going to tell you in US dollars. Maybe I'll just say I have like this might cost like 700 USD. Maybe this might be like, okay, 950 USD, 950 USD, whatever. And then that might be like 500 USD. And then, sorry, it's an integer value. So 500 USD. And the last one, maybe might be like, maybe 4,000 US dollars. It doesn't matter, some value. Okay. Now, I need to pass this in form of a data frame, right? So what I will do is I'll just have a sub variable, so I can call it my variable, and then I'll just use this now. Okay, now look here, I don't want to do this. I'm going to say import pandas as PD. We remember imported numpy as np, so I'm going to import pandas as PD. I'm going to say PD dot. Now I'm going to say, now I'll just use this data frame. So you're going to see how this will just present this in a way in which it is so kind of readable. So my data, actually I called it my date, so I wanted data, so I'm going to call this again my data. Fine. Now I need to print this. Okay, so I just need to print this and we wind up. So print my data. Fine. My data. Fine. So as soon as I run this, now watch guys. So you see it just printed this in this format. Okay, yeah, it printed this in this form, but 1 minute, I didn't want this way. Actually I wanted it to present it in a way in which it would look nice and easy. So let's see, 1 2 3, and then I got that 1 through 3, and yeah, okay, I didn't want this, so I think pandas is not installed. So what I will do, I will just try to check. I think is there, actually it's installed there by default. Okay, yeah, this is fine. Yes, and then I created that dot data frame. Yes, my data, so that's fine, and then I printed that. That's cool. Okay, sorry please, I went and I printed my data. Sorry, I need to print the variable, right? So that's the problem here. So I'll just say my var. Okay, so look at what I wanted. Okay guys, so this is what I wanted. Now instead of it, you saw how it was, right, when I printed my data in initial case. So I really need to have have this kind of cool stuff. So you can literally see I have this bicycle, right, which is Triban 500, which costs like 950. I have another one like Rock Rider 520, which costs like 500 USD, and then I have this medical whatever, which costs like this. So you see this has actually given us some cool stuff, and you can actually add this. You can say bicycle brand or something like that. So you can say bicycle brand. Okay, and it's making more sense now, and the price is in what, USD. Fine, done. So, and when I run this back again, I'm gonna get this nice and easy stuff, right? So bicycle brand, I should have, yeah, and then I have the price in USD. So this is the reason why we kind of work with pandas and create data frames. So on this note, I really want to kind of summarize, and I want to thank you guys for staying put to the end. So let's look at what exactly happened. Okay, how did we actually start? So I'm going to go back from the beginning, and you see the beauty part, all changes are saved automatically, so it's still saving. And you see here, all right guys, so the intention was to look at both numpy and pandas, but we did not do an extensive work on numpy and pandas because we first of all looked into what a crash course on kind of basic Python, right? And we are kind of okay with that because I know many of you are like, maybe majority, 30% of you are okay with the basic Python. So we said, fine, let's dive right into what the advanced concepts, okay, for analysis. So these are the basic things which we did, and I'm going to share the link also to this. All right, I better share it like this so that anybody with this link will be able to kind of view what is here. Okay, so I wouldn't allow you to modify. I'm going to just like restrict this so that you will not be able to take ownership, right? So you can only view this. So if you want, what you can do is you just replicate the same thing in your code. Okay, so that's what you do. So this is fine, and we looked at that, and then what else did we do? Okay, and we now dived into, this is kind of hanging, so we now dived into NumPy, numeric Python, and then we looked into pandas as well. And then I will be stopping here for now, and I'll see you again next Sunday. All right, until then, happy viewing and enjoy your weekend, and all the best for your internals tomorrow. Okay, bye guys. I will catch you guys after your internals. All right, bye for now. Bye.